Welcome everyone, Take 3 Wrestling podcast. A weird episode, an unfortunate episode. As we start here, we have a guest. I want to welcome in Rob from the Mindless Wrestling podcast and the Rob the Genius podcast. Rob, welcome in.
Well, thanks. Good to be here, guys.
Of course, EJ here. No Mike. Mike may be joining us in a little bit later. No Joe. It is Joe's 40th birthday. So in the midst of what is a somber occasion, we want to wish Joe a happy birthday. But we had already had planned, unfortunately, to have to do the 10 bell salute. We love the wrestling world lost Terry Funk yesterday. But then earlier today, the shocking and incredibly sad news came across that Wyndham Rotunda, Bray Wyatt, passed away this afternoon at 36 years old. So, I was telling you guys before we hit the record button, I was recording one of my discussions with a nobody podcast when the news came across, and it literally like knocked the wind out of me. And I had to stop recording, and I sat here and I cried for like 10 minutes because this one hurt, man. This Bray Wyatt, I got back into wrestling around WrestleMania 26. But Bray Wyatt was like the first of the newer characters that really that I really gravitated towards. I don't know if it just had that old style. I know there was a lot of comparisons to like Jake the Snake type and Undertaker type, like just this very methodical, darker character. But I for whatever reason, he quickly became one of my favorites. Yeah, this one hurts. This one hurts for sure.
Yeah.
Go
ahead, Rob. Go ahead.
Oh, because it does, and like I started watching again around 2011, 2012, and so that's when he was still Husky Harris, and we talked about this on the Mindless Wrestling podcast. That was a gimmick that they gave you when they didn't care, and then to see him come back, back when was it 2013, he came back to the main roster. That's a guy who completely turned his career around, and that may be if we're talking like complete career turnaround, that might be number one, or it's in at least it's top 5. Husky Harris was just such a nothing gimmick. It was like, oh, he's a fat guy, we'll call him Husky Harris. And that's literally all it was.
Yeah,
pretty much, sadly.
And so he came back from that, and then went on to win the WWE World Championship.
Yeah.
So that very well may be the single biggest career turnaround. Because that's during a time like look back in the day, if you had a super crappy gimmick, nobody saw it anyway, right? Because you were one of the territories, and maybe people locally saw it, but it was in just you see it and then it's like, oh, that guy sucks, and then but then you forget about it. We're there now where if you get hit with a crappy gimmick, people pull up videos, they pull up pictures.
Yeah.
It doesn't go away. Right. And so it's a lot. I imagine it's a lot more, coming back from that, and as an entirely different character. Because I couldn't imagine like getting stuck with like the Red Rooster today.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now Husky Harris wasn't as ridiculous as the Red Rooster, but it was every bit as kind of mundane. It was mundane and just boring, and it just reeked of this guy's a jobber. And he came back he turned that around. Um, and you know, we talk about people coming back from bad creative or bad booking or whatever. I mean, that's as bad as you can get.
Yeah. Yeah, he and I think one of the things that I remember and I think he may have been on Chris Jericho's podcast years ago. I mean, and I remember him telling a story of when he was in NXT and they were talking about the presentation of the Wyatt family and all of that, and he he went through music beds for like 2 hours or something like that. It was like multiple hours. He searched through music beds until he could find the music bed that he wanted for that character, for that gimmick, like his like attention to detail, like to it. And maybe it was because like he didn't want to get mired with the Husky Harris type again. That it was like, I want to be able to have this and make it more than what that was. But yeah, what a transformation for him.
So for me, Jeremiah, you guys know my story, 17 hiatus between 2002 and 19. I didn't watch the product in that time, but there were times where I'll probably check in for like a day or two to see what's going on. And there are names that stood out in that 17 years. Cena, obviously, Randy Orton, you name it. And then I remember, at the peak of Twitter, back in the aughts, like 13, 14, 15, hearing about Bray Wyatt all the time. Like I wouldn't watch the pay-per-views and stuff, but every so often I'll be online and you'll still see people tweeting things and who's this Bray Wyatt character? And he seems like, oh, this is another guy that could be like the Undertaker type guy. Fast forward to 2019, I'm watching the current product in 2019 after 17 years. And my experience of him is watching him as the Fiend and the Firefly Funhouse, and then watching his career in hindsight and seeing the creativity. I would say after the Undertaker, and I've been watching wrestling for 30-something years. He is probably the greatest character in the history of the company, probably in pro wrestling history. Certainly most creative. I mean, obviously you probably say Taker won, but then you look at it.
I have regularly said, and I don't at this point with the way the business is now, I don't think it'll ever change for me that the Undertaker is the single greatest character
correct
ever created in this business. But like in an era, like right now we're in an era where you get Seth Rollins, you get now, like obviously what we're seeing with Rollins is obviously a gimmick, a character, Roman Reigns. But a lot of times you get Austin Theory, you get Bobby Lashley, you get you get people who are wrestlers. Like Bray Wyatt was in the Wyatt family, like it was this exception. And then he changed it to the Fiend and the Firefly Funhouse and this strange Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood thing with these puppets. And and then when he came back and it's unfortunate that whatever was the disconnect with the most recent with the most recent run, but like there was, you could tell like he put so much so much into it, and like obviously the pandemic sucked, but like I loved the fact that they were able to utilize the no crowd space the way that they did with him and Alexa. And it just, man, and I know Tim on 3CT tonight talked about like even back in the Husky Harris days that he loved Bray Wyatt because it was kind of like what Tim calls a my size Barbie, like being a big guy, like having a big wrestler that like you can attach to. Maybe that was part of it with Bray for me, but like it was just this larger than life character.
And that's what I got of it too, especially the Fiend. And when he went to the Fiend and the Funhouse, like there was something that connected. I connected with that character immediately. Like, I remember when I got back, like, that's the guy. That guy is interesting. I want to watch more often.
I remember because the unfortunate thing and booking decisions are what they are, and it's not what it's about. But so many times, when he was on the main roster, the story was the same. Like, start a feud, pick somebody out, promo battle, lose the feud. And like, as somebody who loved Bray Wyatt as much as I did, it got so frustrating. And I like, 3CT started right around WrestleMania 30. So like, it was, the loss to Cena, and then the next year was loss to the Undertaker, and like, time and time again it got so frustrating. It's like, why is this? And then I remember when he won the title, when he won the WWE title at Elimination Chamber, and I actually got like choked up talking about this tonight on 3CT. But like, I remember that moment, and like the crowd loved it. The crowd gave him like such a huge ovation, and like, you could see how much it meant to him. And I remember like the next week when we were talking about it on the show, is I said, look, no matter, the booking decisions of the past and booking decisions of the future, what they can't take away from Bray Wyatt is that he is a WWE champion, and forever he will be a WWE champion. Obviously went on to win 2 Universal
It's
titles.
funny, like you look at some of the all the news, even Fox News, and a couple other like mainstream like publications. Former WWE champion Bray Wyatt passes away.
Yeah,
Age
like,
36. It's great. I mean,
so like, for Bray Wyatt, and like, I get the gimmick. The gimmick wasn't for everybody, and that's
right.
and that's okay. But for him, for Wyndham, but also for Bray Wyatt, for that character, and for the Bray Wyatt fans, the Fireflies, so to speak, like that meant the world, because again, forever etched in time, he will always be in the record books, because there's guys who are some of the best to ever do this business and be in this business, that don't have their name on that championship, and he did. And I mean, I'll touch more thoughts, obviously it for his family and friends, like, it just,
and that's where I'm gutted, man. He has a big family. He has a wife and
kids,
3. I could have swore I saw 4.
I thought it was 3, unless, yeah.
I think he had another baby recently, but that when we find out the news, I'm like, oh my god. You think about the family first, and then obviously you've seen everything he's gone through with mental health last couple of years, especially too. So like, I try to avoid going that rabbit hole of like speculation and all this stuff, like what happened here. We heard about health issues leading into the new year and stuff, but I feel like ever since Brody lost Brody in 2020, it's been a tailspin for Bray for his life. I'm not saying this had to do it today with him passing, but certainly.
So I know, feelings of this reporter aside,
Sean Ross Sapp.
Sean Ross Sapp did report. He said he was given permission to reveal that earlier this year, Wyndham Rotunda had gotten COVID that exacerbated a heart issue. There's a lot of positive progress towards a return in his recovery. Unfortunately, today he suffered a heart attack and passed away. I had seen another report, that he was actually at the doctor's today.
Wow.
And then had the heart attack later.
Yeah, feeling aside for SRS, he's actually a pretty good reporter.
Yeah, I mean,
he's pretty accurate.
And when situations like this come up, I will give him credit that he will not put out information unless it's legit. So I will say that.
I agree.
But so it does, because the sad thing is, because the last couple of years, after Brody Lee passed, I mean, when you would see social media posts, Instagram, Twitter, it's like, is this Bray talking? Is this Wyndham talking? Is this some in between talking? And there was obviously a very heavy sadness. But I mean, he lost a brother, so it when I saw the tweet from Triple H, yeah, I mean, I'd be lying if I said like, is this a is this a he something that he took his own life?
You don't want to speculate, but then again, knowing the
No,
history, you have to. It
it's
crosses your
mental honesty,
mind.
and like it's this one really hit like this. I've struggled with anxiety and depression and stuff like that, and
Mhm.
this week, I don't know what it is. This week has been a particularly bad week for me. um and so like when I heard the news, like it yeah, I went kind of to that place. I guess I'm sounds weird to say, I guess I'm a little relieved that it wasn't, but like, I don't necessarily, I don't fault anybody that makes that choice, like, because it is such a struggle, like, and I always
Right.
encourage people to seek out help, like, if you need it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this is just a
Absolutely.
medical issue um that got him. But yeah, just I think of his family, I think about like Eric Redbeard,
Yeah.
Oh
who
yeah.
has now lost, and Braun Strowman, who've now lost Brody Lee and Bray Wyatt in
For
2.5
years.
years
Yeah.
apart from each other. Like, it's just, man, it sucks. Like, this day really sucks. And I feel like I'm hogging a lot of the talk, so I'll let you guys talk a little bit more too. But um I can't also help but, like, that we were going to use part of today to remember Terry Funk,
Another legend.
who has kind of gotten lost. Like, I know, EJ, being the big Michael Jackson fan that you are,
Hmm.
Terry Funk has kind of gotten Farrah Fawcetted today,
Yeah.
this week.
Correct.
Farrah Fawcett
Correct.
died the same day as Michael Jackson, and as soon as Michael Jackson died, Farrah Fawcett was out of the newsreel.
Yeah.
So I don't, I'm a little too young to really remember Terry Funk. So, but yeah, I mean, just an absolute legend in the business, and just
Yeah.
but his his health was obviously in a much different place,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
we weren't necessarily surprised. I mean, sad. I feel for
Obviously.
his family and friends, of course. Mick Foley, very heartfelt posts, and I feel horrible for Mick.
They
But
were
yeah,
they're
just
tag partners.
a rough week, man. Just an absolute rough week.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean Terry Funk is a legend in his business. If you watch wrestling for over 30, 40 years, I mean everybody knows he is. I mean he was partially in WWF for a little while, but also wrestled all promotions and stuff. And yeah, I mean you knew Terry Funk for all the crazy stuff, the crazy character. I mean obviously we've heard for the last really couple years really that his health has been kind of up and down. So obviously the news wasn't surprising. It was sad, obviously, 79 years old, but it wasn't just shock like today with Bray, But yeah, I mean, you're right. You can make a more accurate comparison, like the Farrah Fawcett thing with MJ. Like, I mean, it's very accurate actually with the wrestling world, because I mean
Yeah.
Bray Wyatt is one of the most popular people in the last 15 years in this, not just in this company, in wrestling in general.
Yeah. And now for me, because I'm repeating a lot of stuff that I said when we recorded earlier,
Mhm.
but there's a very long, like there's like a lineage for Bray Wyatt for me that goes back to Bray Wyatt is like the full realization of what Kevin Sullivan was doing back in the early '80s,
Right.
and basically, if and so and there's some irony to that because Bray's father was Mike Rotunda, and Mike Rotunda was at one point managed by Kevin Sullivan in the Varsity Club.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, so there's this really deep connection, and then Bray's real name is Wyndham. Barry Wyndham was Mike Rotunda's tag team partner in the in a couple of different places. So I mean, at least it appears that he was named after his dad's old tag team partner. Well, I mean, I guess I'd never seen that confirmed for sure, but I mean, it's literally the same word, so I mean, you kind of assume. And so Bray, so when I first saw the Wyatt family, I thought of Kevin Sullivan. I didn't know about all the connections back then, but yeah, it was kind of like the full realization of what somebody like Kevin Sullivan was doing back in the early '80s.
Right.
I'm sure. I imagine he took at least some inspiration from Kevin Sullivan.
Absolutely.
And so there's just, I mean, there's a lot of history there, and just in both in and out of kayfabe in the wrestling business for Bray Wyatt as a character and as the man with the rotunda. And so for me, when I first saw the Wyatt family, they had actually started doing the gimmick in NXT, but I didn't, like most people, I wasn't watching NXT like that back then. So I first saw them on the main roster, and it was fascinating to me seeing like the sheep masks and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And to me honestly that was my favorite version, the first go around with with Harper and Rowan.
Oh, yeah. Look, watching hindsight, that's my favorite too. Yeah.
Because to me, because ultimately, I think because we talk about booking and all of that. I think ultimately with the Fiend, there was just I think for me they never fully connected why that character would want to be playing a sport for a living, which I mean, he's like, because ultimately pro wrestling is a TV show about people who play a sport for a living.
Right.
Yeah. Good point.
And because even we've talked about this on Mindless Wrestling podcast, even with the Undertaker, at one point there came a point with the Undertaker where he had to stand in the middle of the ring and explain why I'm doing all this, in pro wrestling. Why am I doing all this in a sport? Why am I dressing up like this? Why am I using all this imagery? And he actually explained all of that. And it was when Kane was about to appear, because they had to explain, why is this evil brother of yours coming after you in a sport, right? I mean,
right.
And so that's when they finally came up with a thorough kind of explanation for the character and the look and the gimmick and all of that. And so with the Fiend, they didn't really do that. I mean, it was kind of this recurring theme of him going after people who Bray Wyatt had dealt with before, like Seth Rollins, like John Cena, like Braun Strowman, like Daniel Bryan. But they never, I mean, that final connection was never really made. So when they had him win the title, it was just kind of like, okay, this is a bad idea. Because you got the supernatural, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger type of character, and he's walking around with the sports championship, right? and then so they had to, it's kind of a dead end booking wise. So you just got to get the belt off of them. And so, which is, and of course they employed Goldberg for that, because Goldberg was one of the few people where you could just put in
still terrible idea still to this day. I still maintain terrible.
It was a necessary idea.
I get it, but
to me, the terrible idea was putting the belt on in the first place, because there was no way out of that without leaving a bad taste in people's mouth. And so, I thought Goldberg was kind of a necessary. You need like somebody like Goldberg or Brock Lesnar who you could believe would just walk in the ring and beat the guy, right? Like you couldn't have that character lose to AJ Styles, right, in a wrestling match. I mean, so it had to be somebody like Goldberg or the Undertaker or Brock Lesnar or whatever, right?
Or Roman.
Yeah, and it's just so there was no good way out of it. That the Fiend character just for me should have just never been the world champion, because there was no good way out of it, because eventually you have to lose the belt.
Right. Yeah.
But that's not his. That's not on Bray Wyatt. I mean, people got mad about it.
So creative.
It's just I mean, so there were certain corners it was just best not to take that character. So I thought it was much better when they had him feud with Randy Orton, because there was no title involved, and it was just them going back and forth. And then Randy Orton is very believable as a guy who was willing to light somebody on fire to win a wrestling match.
Absolutely.
Dude, yeah, and that's what I was talking about with the pandemic and being able to utilize that space. Like to this day, that visual of
Yes.
the Fiend's burning corpse is just, I mean, one of the wildest thing. I mean, you were never going to see that. You were never going to see that with a crowd in play, because you couldn't do it. You literally
No.
you literally couldn't do it.
And we said that was one of the best pay-per-view ending shots ever. Like
Yeah.
the Fiend burning up, and then Randy, of course, hits the Randy Orton pose as the credits are rolling.
Yeah, like it just, I mean, like 20 years from now, I would love to like show that image to like a 14-year-old kid that's like into wrestling, be like, hey, there was a time when this happened. They're like just try to explain that picture. First off,
Yeah.
explain people on a screen, like fans in a screen, and then a man on fire, and then another dude just posing in front of that man on fire. Like, just it was wild, man. It really was. Mikey, I think we got you. What
I'm here.
we're talking Bray Wyatt, and the reaction to obviously today's unfortunate news, horrible news.
Yeah. I mean, let's kick it back. I was at work when Jim sent the original text message from Tripps's Twitter page, and immediately it was shock, kind of like frustration, almost to an extent. Because we on this show multiple times have fantasy booked and rebooked and booked a booking of bringing him back, and we fall in love with doing that at times on this show, and that's okay that we turn off the brain for a little bit and run down the hopefulness or the nostalgia or what could be next. And it's unfortunate that there is not a next chapter for not just the Fiend, not just Bray Wyatt, but for Wyndham, the human being. And that's the thing that, and I said this in the chat on the 3CT show. As someone who turns 35 in a little over a month, leaving the birthday party of the other member of this show who turned 40 today. Being a father of three, this one isn't one that I'm going to wake up tomorrow and just put my head down and get to work. And this one isn't one that I'm going to forget about for a while. It sucks. I've watched enough Wyatt family. I've watched enough, Bray. I've watched enough of the Fiend. The Fiend character, as much as people, including you guys, as I hopped in, said that it didn't make sense for him to be the world champion. There was a lot of things that was going on, not just in professional wrestling, but in the world, that didn't make sense when the Fiend was the champion. So if we're going to talk about it didn't make sense, the world at that time didn't make sense. So I think that made just about as much sense as everything else. But I said it in the chat. This is one of those. This one hurts because a father of three that'll be 35 in a month and a half. And I've gone through a little bit of loss myself over the last week or so, unbeknownst to the guys, because I haven't shared any of this information with anybody. Carol's cousin Joey, who was battling cancer courageously for the last 7, 8, 9 years. He passed away early Tuesday morning. So, we've kind of been on that compass of remembrance and all of those things. And, and Jim said it, Bray's one of his favorites. He's on my favorites to watch and watch promos from. So, to have to do that about someone that was portrayed on a TV screen to be unbreakable, unfazable. This is the unfortunate, at the end of the day, professional wrestling is something that we escape the real world from. but those people that we escape to watch are real people also. I said it in the 3CT chat. I'll say it here too. Tell your friends that you love them.
Yes.
You know, because it's one of those where I'll call them tomorrow. They may not answer the phone tomorrow. And if this isn't the rude awakening that people need, I thought it would have been, you know, shortly some time ago when we lost Brody.
Mhm.
If it wasn't Brody, let it be Bray. Let this be the moment. You know, tell your friends that you love them. Tell them that you're there for them. Enjoy the moments that you have with them. You know, we've sat here on this show and I've said countless times, you know, the countdown to WrestleMania and all of that. I feel like this is the gut punch where I feel like I need WrestleMania more now than I have in the last 11 of them that I've gone to, because it's to meet the guys from 3CT. It's getting to experience the things with my friends. And this is a time where we as a community kind of need to pull each other close, tell each other that we love each other and that no matter what, we'll be there for each other. It sucks. It's not fun. I hate doing these shows. I was hoping it would be a little while before we had to do another one, because we had to do the one with Brody, and that one sucked really, really, really bad. And somehow this one sucks even more. I don't think there's any other way to say it. I'm trying to not be repetitive and everything, but when your brain kind of goes scatterbrained because of the situations that occurred, you just speak from the hip. And this is one where, you know, I've spoken from the hip a lot in the last couple hours. So it's not fun. It's going to suck. It's going to suck for a long time.
Yeah, this one ain't going to wait for a while. You're right. This one ain't going to wait for a while. This is like Brody. This ain't going to wait for a while.
Yeah, and I'll just jump in now because even though we don't know these people personally, we watch them on TV, but as wrestling fans, you kind of form a relationship with these folks, better for lack of a better term, and the ones that have longer careers, we get to see them from anywhere from 10 to 20 years maybe,
Yeah.
and so you either some you see at the very beginning, some or maybe they're already there and they're doing something that makes you get your attention and get you to jump back in as a fan, because it's pretty common to kind of jump in and out, right, as a fan. And one of the biggest reasons people jump out is because their favorite people of that time move on. But then if you get back in, a lot of times it's because somebody or something brought you back in, and then you stay until those people move on. But so we form a relationship with these folks, and so when somebody becomes one of our favorite wrestlers and then they pass away, it hurts really bad. I'm old enough where, for me, I was there to see a few of the Von Erich boys die. Um, I saw, well, David Von Erich was a little bit before I became a fan, but Kerry, Mike, Chris Von Erich all passed away, and it got progressively worse with each one, because you knew that it started in tragedy with David, and so being there, for those, and then for some people it's Eddie Guerrero, and it's just it's hard. It's not the same as losing a family member, but it's like it's losing somebody very important to you, or outside of wrestling. Like when I was a kid, we would eat dinner and we would watch ABC News with Peter Jennings every night.
Mm-hmm.
And then Peter Jennings got sick. I think he had some type of cancer, and he passed away. And when he passed away, it had an effect on me because that guy was in my living room growing up. And that guy had been a part of my life for several years, even though I never met him and never knew him.
Yeah.
And some people, it was like with Alex Trebek, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alex Trebek in a lot of people's house every night for
Mhm.
several years of their life. And so for us wrestling fans, for over the past 10 years, Bray Wyatt has been one of those people. And you know, so and then for him to be so young, like I've had to, bury a couple of friends of mine who passed around the same age, and one was very shocking. One we had no idea, got a phone call, one day, and and it's like, oh, and man, Gene passed away, and it's like Gene was a friend of mine, and we were all just like, what in the hell? And he was like 35 years old, and it hit you like a ton of bricks, and like you get through it, you don't really get over it.
Yeah. I said tonight on 3CT, we've had to do too many of these type of episodes in the last 10 years. I one of the first ones when we started the show was the Ultimate Warrior, like right out of the gate. And
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
2014.
Roddy Piper. We had met Roddy Piper at an indie show in our backyard here in Lancaster, PA. It was the second to last indie booking he ever had. The last one was at MCW in Maryland. And like we were, I remember it's like our second month at the thing, and we were sitting there getting our notes together for this like pre-show deal that we did, and he came in and he was like walking to the table where he was going to be signing autographs, and he stopped at our table and, hi, Roddy, shakes our, like, we're literally fucking nobodies, man. And like he was such a nice dude. And like a couple months later, and so it's like we're sitting here and we're doing these, and like, yeah, it's for people, people do forget. It's these people are brought into our lives. We welcome them into our living room. That's a great way to put it, Rob. Like it's, if you're a fan of a TV show, a game show, a news
Mhm.
program, these are characters and people that we have in our world on a regular basis for like better part of 10 years with Bray. And for Terry Funk, hell, it's been for people 40 years, 50 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been forever. And it's just
It's very special to wrestling too, especially its own community. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
you
but I
grow
mean,
up guys, and
you think of TV show, like Grey's Anatomy has been on for 16 years. These people have been been in somebody's living room every week for
yeah.
16 years or whatever.
Mhm.
And then I'm sitting here going, this dude was 36. He's 2 years younger than me. He's got, and I think you're right, EJ. I did see the picture. They had a young baby, 4 kids.
That part got me when I saw the picture of the family. Like,
4
wow.
kids, man. One is like an infant. Looked like it was
Mhm.
just born recently. And and now there is a widow, a widowed mom, kids without their dad. Man, it just, and I know this, I know this stuff happens every day, obviously, with that, outside of so these celebrities or wrestlers or whatever. But like, again, these are people that we bring into our lives. And now I think about the friends of, and I've seen countless posts from wrestlers over the last few hours, and the one that Alexa Bliss posted
Yeah,
is just,
that gutted me. That
man,
one,
just heart-wrenching.
especially considering she was one of the last people to work with him. Really.
Yeah. And actually one that gutted me was LA Knight just posted a shot of him and Bray face to face backstage on SmackDown. And you think about, like, for him, he was the last guy to work with him.
Yeah.
And he obviously didn't know at the time that he was going to be that guy. So now, now he has that in his head, that's part of that legacy. When you look at the career of Bray Wyatt, the last feud he had was with LA Knight. And visually one of the more interesting matches, that has ever taken place. Again, it's, we obviously talked about the Rumble when it happened, but man, just all these tributes. I think the Raw is 30 moment when I don't know what Undertaker said to Bray in the ring, but it's just it hurts. This one, like Mike, I echo what Mike said. For me, this one hurts.
It's gonna be a while for this one. This one's gonna take a
This
long
one
time.
a lot more than recent ones. Like, I mean, it's shocking. Doesn't begin to express it. But
No. Rest in power.
Yeah, man. Any other thoughts on Bray and obviously on Terry Funk? I was telling the guys, like, for me, because I don't want him to get lost, and I don't want to move on. And I don't know if we have to cover all the topic. We'll get to there when we get there. That we had planned. Obviously, we want to preview All In for sure.
Yeah.
Because, like, and Tim brought up a great point. Like, when you're looking at the last 7 days ish, 7-8 days, this is an incredibly historical week in wrestling, and we didn't even realize it, because you have Edge's possibly last match. It was, for now, the last match in the WWE, could end up being his last match ever. And then the passing of Terry Funk, the untimely passing of Bray Wyatt, and we have All In, coming up this weekend. Just the ups and downs in this business this week is insane. I just want to, like, give one thought about the passing of Terry Funk. My memory of Terry Funk is because I'm 30, I'm 38. I just turned 38. So, like, I was behind the ball on Terry Funk's career.
Do you understand the color reference?
What is that?
My wife decided to give me an early birthday present because she knows how sad I am. So I got this cool, like, 77-ounce
The 30. I don't like the
tumbler,
Oh, nice.
and it's in Bengals colors.
Very nice.
Hooday.
Happy birthday, man.
Yeah,
Well, my
man.
birthday isn't for another, like, month and a half.
It's
Yours is
October.
today.
Oh, well,
Super-
well, look, I mean, I'll be on the, look.
My wife is.
So,
My wife knows that I'm not in a great mood, so she went for the heart. So
It's a good wife.
But I remember Terry Funk in Beyond the Mat. He had what at his time was supposed to be, well, one of his retirements. And
At least 10 of them, right?
he's in the back, he's getting stitched up, he's like drinking a beer, and just like, and then he's like walking around as like this old Texas State Fair or something, and it's just like, man, like, what a career. And again, at the time we thought it was his last one, but it was one of many retirements. But
did we actually get a head count on how many retirement tours Terry Funk actually had?
I assume 10.
it's a lot.
Something like that.
I mean, I'm not trying to
Oh,
discredit
no.
Terry, because Terry was fantastic, and
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that he was one of the most revolutionized hardcore wrestlers, and not trying to belittle him by making that joke, but it literally, he had 7,000 retirement tours, it felt like, especially every time he went to Japan. The Funker, the Funkin' Dojo, I know he helped Dory with all that stuff. That guy was revolutionized a lot of professional wrestling.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate, because I told myself coming into this episode, if I was able to get home to be part of it after Joe's birthday, that we were going to have to talk about Terry, which was sad enough. And then kind of the gut punch on top of it of Bray earlier today kind of takes away from Terry, and it's weird that you say takes away from,
Yeah.
because it's one of those where I feel both of them deserve their time and their flowers. And I think there's a lot of people that are going to forget that about Terry, which is unfortunate because I don't think that should be forgotten. But he helped a small resurgent company in South Philadelphia figure it out in ECW at the beginning there. The stuff with Chainsaw Charlie, the stuff in WCW with Sting and all of those guys, all of that stuff. I've watched some of it, not all of it, obviously, because I don't have that much time to go back and watch all of WCW or NWA from the Wayback Machine. But yeah, this is one of the pillars that has been a major part of professional wrestling for a long time. We lost yesterday, and it's unfortunate. Terry did get to live a very long, very joyful life. That's the one difference between him and Wyndham here. But either way, both of them are very sad. Both of them are very going to have their moments to process. And honestly, if it wasn't for Terry Funk, I wouldn't still have one of the funniest lines of one of the Conrad podcasts, because every time Terry Funk gets brought up, you always hear Bruce Pritchard with the "Your mother's a whore." So at the end of the day, I laugh every time I hear that. So, it sucks. It sucks all around. It sucks that we lost both of them. But we as professional wrestling fans have to do kind of the same thing we did with Brody. We got to keep those guys alive in spirit. We got to tell the new breed of fans about them. We got to show them the things. We got to show them the triple threat match, the first pay-per-view of ECW. We have to show them Beyond the Mat to watch Terry Funk. We have to show them Bray Wyatt's return promo, where for the first time in a long time, it didn't feel like an act. It felt like Wyndham was talking to you. And I know you guys played it a little bit on 3CT earlier. We have a job now as fans to carry those people with us for the rest of our time as fans.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way that I look at this. And this is kind of the way that I'm going to take this is, if I come across a wrestling fan who doesn't know who Bray Wyatt is at some point, it's going to be my job to point them in the right direction of things to go watch or things to go seek out. Same with Terry Funk. And like you said, it's weird that this happens the same weekend as the self-proclaimed biggest event in wrestling history is going to take place. Which we'll talk about it. Also, it's weird that this happens under a week from potentially one of the greatest in-ring performers in WWE history having his final match in WWE.
Yeah.
This is one of those 8 to 10 days where a lot of my childhood and life and all of that, like, some things are happening that are going to punch me right in the gut. I was in the crowd the night of what was Edge's last match before the return. It was at WrestleMania when he faced Del Rio. And I've thought back on that and I've gone, I'd have never have thought that was the potential final time that we would hear that song with that entrance in that big of an arena. And I've been there for the last two to watch him do it again. And it's weird. It's weird that chapter may be ending. And I don't think I can ever see him in an AEW ring and think about it, because Edge didn't leave. It was taken from him.
Yeah.
And that's the thing where it's like, I can't process Edge walking out on a stage that isn't a WWE stage, wrestling in front of 80,000 people. Now, if it is and he goes to AEW, I'll support him. I'm an edgehead. One of the guys from my childhood that I'll put on my, oh, Mike, you've been to 11 or 12 WrestleManias. Who's that Mr. WrestleMania for you? I'll put Edge on that list. I'll have that. I'll die on that hill till the day the sun comes up. You know, it's just one of those things where I've always thought the world of him. And if this is the final chapter of him wrestling in WWE, I'm glad he got to do it at home. If there's one takeaway from it, it was home. And I think that's where I'm okay if that's it. Now, what I love for him to walk into Lincoln Financial Field at the biggest WrestleMania of all time, WrestleMania Extra Large, and here you think you know me, and let him have one final WrestleMania match, you're goddamn right I would. But if Friday night in Toronto is the last time that song hits, the only thing that I will say they failed on was not having Tony Chimmel there for one final rated R superstar. Because if he's going out, I need one final Tony Chimmel.
You ain't kidding.
Yeah, I mean, now actually, in regards to Terry Funk, I have a couple of stories because the very first WWF house show that I ever went to was in 1986. My dad took me, and the main event was Hulk Hogan defending the WWF World Champion against Terry Funk. That was in 1986. So me and Terry Funk go back a little ways there, and it's funny because at that point he was middle aged because in the 70s he was the NWA World Champion, and just so entirely different persona and all of that, right? And then in the WWF, he was the kind of like evil cowboy from the Double Cross Ranch in Amarillo, Texas, which is just one of the coolest sounding evil places to be from, you know. And then 3 years after that, he ends up in the NWA feuding with Ric Flair, and Ric Flair turns babyface to feud Terry Funk. And that was one of the best wrestling feuds you will ever see. And so, look, that was more than enough of a career for anybody. And then he goes on from there to ECW, and then he comes back to the WWF with Foley, and then he does, and then of course he's gone to Japan a bunch of times in between all of those. So he had multiple full careers almost within this time that he wrestled. I mean, going again, and he is somebody that truly reinvented himself over and over and over. Because a lot of times what gets called reinvention is just somebody, changing something on the surface level. But he changed up, he changed up his style, he changed up his persona, he changed up, in all of these different times and all these different places. And he feuded with all these different people. He feuded with Hulk Hogan, he feuded with Ric Flair, he feuded with Dusty Rhodes. And so he had about a full, multiple full wrestling careers. So there have been some people calling him the greatest ever. And I would say he has as much of a, given the full, if you look at the full scope of his career, he has as much of a claim to that as anybody. Because I don't think you won't find anybody who has multiple, basically full wrestling careers worth of different things. And I don't think you'll find anybody who did 30 years plus and at a high level in all these different places, doing all these different type of personas and all these different styles. You'd be really hard pressed to find anybody who did that other than him. So, and obviously these things are a matter of personal preference, but I would say he has as much of a stake in claiming that mantle as anybody.
Yeah. To your point with the Hogan feud, you remind me of that because on this first episode of Center Main Event of 86, Hogan defended title against Punk on that show.
Yep.
You just remind me of that as you said that.
I don't want to rush away from, the remembering, these lives that were lost this week. But, I think just as wrestling will this weekend, I think we can move the show on.
I will say this, and then I'm good with it. Tomorrow night on SmackDown, I don't need storylines.
Oh yeah,
I highly doubt I'm very certain that
yeah.
we will probably have a Bray tribute show.
I get the feeling like the same way when Owen Hart passed away, and that was all pretty much all Owen for 2 hours on Raw. It has the same vibe to it. I have a feeling SmackDown will be the same vibe.
Yeah, I'm good. I get it. The whole Jimmy Uso will be back at SmackDown and this, that, or the other. I don't need it. Not for a week. I'm good.
Yeah.
Tomorrow needs to be about allowing the people that worked with him to heal and to have those moments to come on and be able to share some stories. And people want to wrestle, let them wrestle. But tomorrow's, it's got to open with a pitch black screen and the fireflies a buzzing. And if it ends with any less than the lantern in the middle of the ring and that being the only light on in the entire building, I would be very upset.
Yeah.
His catchphrase was, "Let him in." One final time, boys. Let him in.
Yeah, I think tomorrow's SmackDown will be
very emotional. Crowd tune, everything.
Yeah, one to watch for sure. Yeah, I mean, if you guys are cool with it, I think All In. Let's preview All In and call it go home spot. I think it's been a long day for everybody. So let's we'll do it. Because again, it's this 10-day period is just
it's crazy.
It's just insane. But of course, All In this Sunday on pay-per-view, 1 p.m. Eastern time, because it is in the UK, so we get an early one here. But 11 matches. We'll look at the pre-show first. The buy-in. It is Aussie Open defending the ROH World Tag Team titles against MJF and Adam Cole. Rob, we'll go to you first.
Well, so I think we're all kind of looking to this match to give some type of tell as to what's going to happen later. And this could go a bunch of different ways. Like they could win the tag team championships, and then that might be some type of signifier of one of the but that might be a red herring because I think everybody's expecting one to turn on the other. So them winning the tag team titles in the opening match would be it would be a big red herring. So you know what I think. Let's go crazy here. I think they are gonna win those because that's going to happen to throw everybody off the scent of one of them turning on the other one later.
Cool. Michael?
I'm taking the challengers to walk out of the pre-show with the new tag titles because of something that I inevitably think is going to happen later in the show.
All right, EJ.
Yeah, I'll go the challenge as well too on that one.
All right, I'll be the oddball. I think Aussie Open's going to retain. I think the splitski happens here, and not potentially later. All right, generic Jack Perry defending the FTW championship against Hook. Rob.
I think Jack Perry, generic Jack Perry, is a very, very good way to describe him. But I think, I think he wins here because it's way too early in this to have him losing. I mean, because if that's the point, I think he wins here.
Michael?
I'll take Vanilla Ice Cream Jack Perry to fucking retain the FTW title.
EJ?
I'll take Loose Kid. Yeah, Jack Perry.
Yeah, I think Jack's going to win here. I have a theory on when he's going to lose it. I think he is going to submit to the Taz mission at Grand Slam. to Taz.
Oh.
And that's how the family, the
Interesting.
belt goes back to the family. Like, I know Taz can't really bump because of the neck,
Right.
but like he's
Well,
been doing this.
He's made it clear that they would like want to get rid of the title. He wants to retire the title. So that makes
okay.
perfect. That makes
What better
perfect
way
sense.
to do it? In
Yeah.
New
Taz,
York.
Taz wins it in New York, and then it goes
Goes away.
away, and we can worry
Yeah.
about the transcontinental Atlantic Panamanian good
Exactly.
book games. Fucking can Jack Perry get someone to be his muscle?
Please.
I'll take Wardlow to come back and be his muscle.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
no.
anybody.
Like
Anybody.
this because generic Jack, vanilla ice cream Jack, nobody's fucking scared of him. Like
No.
what the fuck are we doing? At least he had Luchasaurus.
Yeah.
All right. All right, now we're into the main card. FTR defending the AEW World Tag Team title against Young Bucks. Rob.
Oh, but this is going to be the Tony is our friend special here. The Young Bucks are going to win this. Okay, I mean, they're going to win this. They're going to pull the friend of the boss card here and win this match.
All right, Michael.
Up until earlier this week when that happened,
Whoopsie.
I truly thought FTR was going to walk out of Wembley with the tag titles. I don't necessarily know that that's going to happen anymore. Yeah. Will you stop? That's kind of what they should have been saying to him. I will go the young. There it is. I'm going to go with the Young Bucks here, but I don't think they keep the titles long.
Yeah. EJ.
I'm with you there. Bucks definitely won't be a long reign though.
Yeah. This is get the titles away from the problem right now.
Go figure it out, and once you figure it out, we'll readdress the situation.
Readdress it, right? Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Hikaru Shida defends the AEW World Women's Championship against Toni Storm, Saraya, and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Rob.
Okay, I'm sticking with my the prediction I've been making of the kind of the nightmare scenario here.
Uh-oh.
Saraya is going to win here, and that is ultimately going to pave the way to the return of Britt Baker as the women's champion.
Okay. Michael.
He said nightmare, and I thought he was going to try to figure out a way to prevent the Nightmare Collective. I was like, Brandy Rhodes doesn't wrestle anymore. Like, what does he
Especially
mean?
not AEW.
Yeah.
Jesus. On paper, this is I feel like the fast break slam dunk of the night. If she's going to win the AEW women's title, it has to be in front of her hometown fucking crowd. Like, I don't think you're going to have her win it a week later in Vegas.
Right.
You know? So, I mean, if we're going to do this, you already have another women's champion that can defend the title a bunch, so you don't really need Saraya defending the title on a weekly basis. If you let Chris Statlander defend the title more on television, more on that later, I think. So yeah, let's turn the page on this and go to Saraya.
EJ.
Saraya, it makes sense, Saraya.
Yeah, she might lose it in Vegas next week, but she's
right.
God, that's kind of what I.
Let's give her a moment.
Winning it this weekend.
Yeah.
All right, then we go to a coffin match: Darby Allin and Sting versus Swerve Strickland and Christian Cage. Because, Rob.
What?
AR Fox was pulled. He was fired from what's
the Mogul Embassy.
Because
the embassy is forever.
Because the Mike, I think you had said in the 3CT channel that you said it might have been a passport issue.
That was not me, but I thought that.
Okay, yeah, I remembered
somebody in the chat, I think, said it as I was trying to type that out, because I truly think that it may be a travel concern.
Yeah, travel thing. So
don't quote me on that. Obviously, I'm not in the locker room.
See, that's where I may call foul on that. Again, we're rumor and innuendo, but like if it's a travel issue, you run an injury angle. Like, why would you actually kick him out of the faction? I don't
unless you don't want him in the faction at all, because the crowd isn't giving less than one fuck about him being in the fucking faction.
Yeah, I guess. But so it's now Swerve and Christian.
Boy,
is this somehow going to lead to Christian Cage and Brian Cage teaming in a steel cage at some point on a Rampage?
Probably.
Okay, cool.
Connect the dots.
Just
I like
making
that.
sure.
Man, well, I figured Darby and Sting were going to win, but I guess they'll probably win anyway. I mean, if they're making, this match makes no sense now at all.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do here. Because why would you? I mean, putting Christian in the match and then having them lose is kind of weird.
Yeah.
But Swerve and AR are probably going to lose anyway. Man. All right, let's get weird. Swerve and Cage. Yeah.
All right, Michael.
I'm going to go in a different shade of weird. They put Christian in this match because Sting is going to fight Luchasaurus at All Out for the TNT title. So he wins a title in AEW that isn't the world title and only holds it for a week before he gives it to his fucking stepson as a parting gift or something. I don't know. Give me Sting and the Darby All In fellow. But honestly, can we just rename this to Who Gives a Shit match of the night? Because fuck are we doing a tag team coffin match? What the
I
fuck?
don't know, man. There's so much going on here.
Tony Khan booking.
EJ.
Yeah, give me Darby All In at All In. So
Yeah, give me Darby and Joker Sting here. All right, we got a 6-man tag. We got the Golden Elite taking on Takeshita and the Bullet Club Gold. Rob.
All right, they got to win something eventually, so I'm gonna go with Takeshita and Bullet Club Gold.
All right, Michael.
What did Tim call Bullet Club Gold?
Oh, he was tripping over Takeshita's name.
No. But he actually called them something else.
Oh, I don't know. That was
I don't
hours
remember either,
ago,
but it was
Mike.
hilarious. I laughed. Give me Twinkle Toes McFinger Bang. give me cowboy shit and give me gotta catch 'em all Coder.
See, because I understand that reference, by the way.
Yeah.
So
Except I was tempted to call Takeshita by the name that guy calls him.
oh, take a shitter.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna take Twinkle Toes McFinger Bang because I think it leads to him and take a shit at All Out.
All right, EJ.
Yeah, give me the Golden Elite.
Yeah, I picked the Golden Elite earlier, but I'm going to change it just because it feels dirty picking the Bucks and Kenny Omega on 2 separate podcasts. So give me Takeshita and Bullet Club Gold.
Because look, I always have to do that. If I go on more than one show, more than one podcast, going into a pay-per-view, I got to remember what I said on the first one. So,
No matter what, you're right.
Exactly. There you go. All right, we got a Stadium Stampede. We got Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy, the Best Friends, and Penta taking on the Blackpool Combat Club and Pride and Powerful. All of a sudden back in the business. Rob.
Well, it would make no sense for them to come back and then lose. So I'm gonna go to the Blackpool Combat Club and Pride and Powerful and over the Pudding Gang.
Michael.
So it went from 6-on-6 to 5-on-5, correct?
Yeah. What happened there? I mean,
oh yes,
yeah.
Oh, I know what happened. Ray Phoenix got taken out on last night's episode of Dynamite after the match. When they came back, Wheeler Yuter hit him in the head with a crowbar.
Oh, okay.
So unless they're gonna basically have 2 wild cards, which I'm okay with because I feel like it'd be cool for Eddie Kingston to bring out like Minoru Suzuki or something to come out and be a member of his team because that's a crazy son of a bitch. Why not? And I'm still kind of hoping out for a Chris Hero return just to fucking troll everyone. I'm going to go out on a limb and call this the Terry Funk Invitational because I feel like there's going to be a lot of plunder between Jon Moxley and the War King Eddie Kingston. I inevitably think that the two of them take each other out, leading to the two of them having a moment at some point. I don't think it's at All Out because I feel like there's something else that's going to happen at All Out. I will take the Blackpool Combat Club after Jon Moxley pins a freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy, leading to them two fighting each other for the Transcontinental Panamanian Championship at All Out.
All right, EJ.
This is gonna be a mess, but give me BCC.
I'm gonna take Eddie Kingston and friends just so I don't have to hear Justin Roberts announce John Moxley twice.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Gian.
You're not wrong.
We
No
got a
Gian.
singles match. Will Ospreay taking on Chris Jericho. Rob.
Ooh, boy, this could get ugly. This could be really ugly.
Yeah.
Look, if Chris, decides I'm going to show people I still got it, this is going to be ugly, really ugly. Like, this to me, this is like the who booked this shit match, because why on earth would you put Chris Jericho in the ring with Will Ospreay in 2023?
That's what I've been asking for 2 weeks.
I mean, yeah. I think Will is going to win. Man, this is this is bad.
Michael.
Will Ospreay via murder with a hidden blade in the conservatory.
Love it. EJ.
Ocean Spray.
Yeah, give me Will Ospreay. Goodness sakes, please.
If he loses to Chris Jericho, I could give less than one fuck about Will Ospreay ever again.
Yeah.
Less than one.
There's no
That'd be a burial.
recovery
That'd be a
from that
burial.
2023.
Yeah.
All right, next one, singles match for the Real World Championship. CM Punk defending against Samoa Joe. Rob.
See, for those of us who watch Collision every week, this is the highlight of the pay-per-view. Because Punk is winning, obviously. I love Joe, man. Joe's squash matches on Collision have been fun every week, but I think Punk's gonna win this, obviously.
Michael.
So if I go to Walmart and buy a plastic toy and put a plus sign over it, does that make me the positive world champion?
Yes.
Say less. Phil from Chicago.
EJ.
Unfortunately, Phil's gonna win this match. Unfortunately.
Yeah, this one is a slam dunk. Phil is definitely walking into Chicago next weekend as still the Real World Champion. All right, 6-man tag. The House of Black taking on Billy Gunn and the Acclaimed. Rob.
Again, why come back to lose? So Billy Gunn and the Acclaimed. I mean, I feel bad for House of Black here because they got a really good run going on here, and them losing to Billy Gunn and the Acclaimed seems just like why. But you don't go through all this and have Billy come back to lose. So,
Michael.
I said when I talked about the Young Bucks that I would get to the reason why I think that what's going to occur is going to occur. I'm taking Billy Ass and the Ass Boys here to walk away because I believe that Brody King and Aleister Black will be the new AEW World Tag Team Champions within the next month.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, that'll work. Okay.
I can get behind that. All right, EJ.
Yeah, the Ass Boys. Yeah, Billy.
Yeah, definitely Billy Gunn and the Acclaimed here.
Even if they only hold it for a week and they lose to Ortiz, Santana, and a third member, or the rest of the Blackpool Combat Club, sans John Moxley, maybe they
I get the Billy Gunn retirement thing was an angle now, but his career is obvious. His in-ring career is obviously on the downturn. So get him a big moment here on the big show. Absolutely. And then lastly, we got the singles match for the AEW World Championship. MJF taking on Adam Cole. Baby. Rob.
Go with MJF. Because to me, like, again, you don't have Punk come back with the quote-unquote Real World Championship if you're not going to do some type of unification thing. And it would be... So I think MJF comes out of it here. Not sure who turns on who, or what happens with all of that. But, I think MJF comes out of this one way or another.
Mike, go ahead.
Mike's face working already.
Nobody turns on anyone. This match ends in a double disqualification.
Oh, my God.
After Roderick Strong and the Kingdom cause both of them to get defeated, which then leads to on Wednesday's episode of Rampage, or excuse me, Dynamite, we get the Kingdom, Matt Taven and Mike Bennett defeating MJF and Adam Cole for the tag titles. Tony Khan sits here and says, hey, we're going to rebook them in the match at All Out because of the discrepancy. They lose to the Kingdom. And that's when Adam Cole kicks MJF dead in the face. And it's been a setup all along. Adam Cole is the leader of the Kingdom. He has Roderick Strong. He has Maria Kanellis. He has Mike Bennett. He has Matt Taven. Thy kingdom come. And then that's how you get to the rematch at All Out.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's good.
EJ.
Unfortunately, I think Maxwell, Jacob Freeman still wins.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't go quite as in depth as Mike did, but I said that I thought that they were going to do some sort of DQ. Cole wins by DQ, and with MJF still the champ, and then they do the unification thing at All Out, and then Adam Cole turns on MJF, and there you have your feud or something coming out of that. So, because he still has a claim on a match because it was a DQ or something. So,
see, I feel like the unification match needs more legs. I feel like that's a full gear going into 2024.
Yeah, that's true too.
Because you have Collision that you can leave CM Punk over there and do his thing, especially if FTR is going to go away for a little bit with Cash having to figure out that situation. You let Phil stay over there, do his thing. Bring him over for a couple episodes leading into Full Gear where Tony Khan throws his hands up and goes, I'm sick of you saying that you're a champion. I'm sick of saying that you're a champion. Let's just make one unified AEW world champion. And I think that he finally puts his foot down and says, we're done.
All right, there we go. That is All In, of course, this Sunday. And that's where we're going to leave.
What's the PW scorecard? What's your guys' thing so people join it so they can try to take the wrestler of the week from me? 67 AB 3174 pod.
Hold on, I gotta pull up the gimmick here. Let me pull up a tweet. I can quickly find it.
Yeah, because try to take wrestler of the week from me.
So yeah, go to PW scorecards. You can fill out yours, but make sure you join with the invite code 67AB85. That'll get you in the 3CT faction. Try to dethrone Mike. Now it'll only be for 1 week because we have Payback and All Out the following week. But you can
How are we doing that? Pull a combined score?
No, I think the way we did it earlier this year when we had two is just because we have two people's champ pickers.
Oh, okay.
We'll figure that out. All right, that's what we're gonna do it. Rob, I'll give you a chance to plug here on the way out so people know how to follow you and keep up everything you're doing.
All right, so you can every week you can listen to me, DJ, and Jason on the Mindless Wrestling Podcast, part of the Chair Shot Radio Network. And every couple of weeks, you can hear me do my own thing on the Rob the Genius podcast. And you can follow me on Twitter. I'm still calling it Twitter.
It's forever Twitter.
Yeah. If Mama named him Clay, I'm going to call him Clay. So I'm going to call it Twitter. Right. And you can find me on Twitter, RBONNE1.
All right. Sounds good. EJ, got anything?
No, Earth Speaker Podcast, of course. Just did my NFL preview yesterday. Other than
Don't
that,
say no and then plug something, dummy.
Did I say no?
You said nah.
I did.
You did.
Oh, I didn't mean that's the same words, buddy. The same words. But yeah, each person 7 on Twitter /X.
Stop it. It's not X. It's not X. You can just go to my Twitter at Big Jim Sports. Hit the link tree. Where you'll find all my stuff. I was recording a Discussions with a Nobody until everything changed today. So I'll try and find some time in the next couple days to finish that one. But Huddle Up. Huddle Up starts live shows this Tuesday. Here we go. Settle in. It's game time, baby. Mike, wrap it up, my friend.
Send all your hate tweets to at EJ Christian 7. You can follow the show at Take the Number 3 Wrestling. Always the number, never the word. like Jim said, hit the link tree on his stuff. You can find FKC Fantasy Hour, where we talk fantasy football, myself, Craig, and Ryan. All the link tree stuff, you can find merchandise over there for Huddle Up. Buy a shirt, support us. It'd be really fun. But I wrap this up with the part that everyone needs to take from this one. Hug your loved ones, hug your friends. Tell them that you love them.
Yes.
At the end of the day, we don't know when our time is going to come. Make the most of it. Enjoy the ride. Be there for each other. We'll see you guys next week, right back here on the Take 3 Wrestling Podcast.